This week on Money Talk, the Gibraltar Financial Services Commission answers criticisms that it's being too tough on regulation and that investigation charges are unfair. CEO Samantha Barrass said the GFSC only takes enforcement action as a very last resort.
The vast majority of licensees, 99% of licensees, work collaboratively with us, are very compliant with us. In a very small fraction of cases, in this case, the appointment of inspectors in the more difficult cases, we've made 3 to 4 of those in the last 3 years. So it is very much in the minority of cases.
So you wouldn't say that you were perhaps over-regulating, in particular when you can contrast it with other jurisdictions?
Not at all. When I started in my role 4.5 years ago, the Commission was already in the midst of a very small number of enforcement cases. That number hasn't really changed over the last few years. You've always got 2 to 3, 4 cases that you might be working on at any one point in time. That was the case when I came into the role, inherited from my predecessor. It is the case now. It is very in keeping with international regulatory standards and approach.
One of the other criticisms is the fees levied against the companies being investigated. There's no cap on fees, and that also has raised some criticism. Any plans to change that?
Okay, a number of points there. As I said, the vast majority of licensees are fully compliant and work very collaboratively with us. We have 2 sources of funding. The vast majority of our funding comes from licensees, with a little bit from the taxpayer. So we have either firms or the taxpayer provide the funding for the work that we do. Where a firm has not been cooperating with us, where we have great concerns that they are not compliant, in some cases we are talking about very large firms with very significant international reach, where the actions that they're taking could pose considerable risks to consumers and the reputation of Gibraltar. It is important that we act, and in my view, not fair that the costs that need to be met in order to get on top of the issues and deliver good consumer protection and protection of the reputation of Gibraltar, I don't think it's fair that those costs be met by the licensees or the taxpayer.
Even if an investigation might result in nothing unusual found?
Yeah. We are looking, and part of the legislative reform programme, we'll be looking at where the cost should fall, where nothing has been found.